Hi, my name is Sarah, and in this video I'm going to be talking about fear and sound distortion. And I guess before I get into anything, this can get very complicated, the whole concept of sound. There's a bunch of physics involved, terminology, a bunch of relationships, and it's just like knowing what this does with this at all times, and like there's just a bunch of happenings happening in sound. And we've all known like music theory and sound theory. Music theory is just like a rabbit hole of just things to discover and find out, and everything's connected. And basically, I've been very intimidated to make this video because of that, but I feel like I have enough of a concrete understanding of this, and it's still worth sharing. So my grounding idea is that fear is not innate. Innate meaning the qualities, abilities, characteristics that exist in an organism from birth, so a person. So babies and children, and this has been scientifically studied, babies and children are not born with fear, but rather they're born with curiosity. And with curiosity, we can understand things that we once didn't understand. And from a concept I think coined by Vsauce, fear is where we don't understand something. The fear is of the unknown. Fear is always of the unknown. Fear is always of what we don't understand. And when we have less curiosity, when we're less prone to be curious and more prone to be afraid, our fear dominates. It's like curiosity and fear have this relationship with one another, and it's sort of those things that they go hand in hand. And I might even make a video about that. I really think I will, just because it's so interesting. But yeah, you should know firm in your heart, like, fear is not innate. Fear is something that did not originally belong to you. You got it you were taught, and you observed it in others. And that's where you obtained it. It's very interesting to think that the fear that you have right now doesn't belong to you. You did not come into the world with it. It's like one of those few things that you have within you your entire life that you didn't have at birth. It's so interesting to me. Like, it really kind of like rattles my brain. And we know that we need fear for survival. Fear is a stressor that can flood through the body to activate that fight or flight in a survival situation. So it's like we need it, but we didn't need it. Apparently we didn't need fear, and we didn't need survival from wherever we came from before coming into Earth, which is a spiritual idea, like where we came from the heavens, where we came from God, or where we came from somewhere that was bliss and harmonious, and fear was not something that was felt, but curiosity was. We were born with curiosity. Like, take in the weight of that curiosity should take precedent over fear. And if it does, then you would have fear no longer, because you attempt to understand things. Anyway, maybe I'll just make another video about that. But, okay. So personally, sometime back, I was watching Interface 2022, and the character Mischief is introduced, and Mischief is hot pink and kind of like a Ronald McDonald art style, and he's a monster, and he's very creepy, has huge red lips. If you want, you know what, a matter of fact, I'm going to link the video, because anybody can watch it on YouTube for free. I'm going to link it in the description, especially if you want to go and watch it. It's 2 hours long. If you want to go watch Interface 2022 before watching this video, it might even make more sense, so you can have a personal understanding of what I'm getting into right now. So, Mischief the monster. He's hot pink, bright red lips, scary teeth, everything. So Mischief, shortly after we're introduced to Mischief, Mischief meets Henrik, and Henrik is a human. And Henrik doesn't speak. I don't think he speaks throughout the entire movie, But Henrik seems startled by this. Of course, I mean, look at Mischief, he's creepy. And Mischief starts talking to him. And this is the first time we hear Mischief speak, and his voice is very low and distorted. It sounds like a creepy voice coming over through the radio head from a signal or a walkie-talkie. Like, that's pretty much exactly what it sounds like. And there's a bunch of like going on. Maybe just hear it for yourself. You know what distortion sounds like. And so Mischief starts talking to Henrik. He's very gentle, and he's very accommodating, and he's very kind and persuasive, And it's almost like he really doesn't want Henrik to be afraid of him. Okay, does this sound familiar? Hold that thought. So after this interaction of them, and it's specifically the interaction of Mischief persuading Henrik to get on the bus with him. And after this scene, I remember clear as day, like, I don't know if it's worth mentioning that I was emotional, sort of, when I watched this movie, so maybe this had something to do with it from what I was watching and what I was thinking, but it's like, I had this realization flood me that angels' voices are distorted. And I seriously do not know where this came from. I wasn't thinking about angels, I wasn't thinking about God, or I wasn't thinking about any of that, but it's just like, I had the realization flood me, and it wasn't an idea, it wasn't a thought, and it wasn't a wonder, it was more like a truth being told. It was more like just something being told to me. It was more like just something being pieced together in my brain, where I was like, Mischief's voice, this low distortion sound, that's what an angel sounds like. And I just knew it to be fact. And not immediately did I go and try to prove this to myself. Honestly, only recently did I look into it to prove myself, but I don't think I was in a rush to do any proving and any research, because like, I felt that it was just true, but really the only reason why I looked into it for it to be true was so I could make this video. So, okay, with that realization, did that give you goosebumps? Because it did me, it really did me. So remember what I said, like, where Mischief is not wanting Henrik to be afraid. So when I look back on that interaction that they're having in the movie, where Mischief doesn't want Henrik to be afraid, that's familiar because angels don't want us to be afraid either. So it's like angels could come in their seraphim form, which if you've never seen that, go look it up. It's basically that angels are not in human form. You would almost say they're in a scary form, where they have like 6 eyes and crazy wings and all this stuff. Their original seraphim form, and they call out to us and they're like, do not be afraid. And I don't think it's mentioned of what angels sound like in the Bible. I don't personally recall. But yeah, it's familiar to angel behavior. This whole interaction of Mischief meeting Henrik was just very similar to how, if you first met an angel, how your interaction with the angel would go. So angels look after humans and their assistants to God. That's maybe what we know the most about angels. They help guide us through life. So throughout the movie, hold on, let me look at my notes, because I really don't want to get messed up, because this can get so complicated, so bear with me. So we know that Mischief runs off of cerebral electricity, which he cannot get from Henrik. So cerebral energy being cerebral electricity that is lost or released from a dead human body. So Mischief cannot obtain cerebral energy or electricity from Henrik because Henrik happens to be immortal. So he will never die. So therefore, Mischief and Henrik do not have a parasitic relationship. It's more so a true friendship because Mischief can't, be sly and obtain anything from Henrik like he usually could for his human relationships, if that makes sense. And did I already say in modern science, there's no way in modern science or in real life for us to collect cerebral electricity or energy from the dead. Like, there's no, I did look it up, and it's just like there's no such thing as that, but we do know that much, that it is released into the atmosphere as something different. Anyway, so they have a true friendship. So let me go on to explain distortion and what distortion is. So distortion, when I was doing research on what exactly is distortion, so at extreme sound levels, 194 decibels to be exact, so over 194 decibels, sound waves can no longer compress air further, which creates a vacuum in the wave, which causes distortion. So, okay, this. So for a sound to be heard from the sky, so from a sound in the sky to then reach us, like the farthest out in the sky as possible, which also we consider the heavens to be in the sky, right? The sound would have to exceed 194 decibels to travel to us, for us to hear it, and it would be distorted. If God and the angels were up there in the sky and they were trying to communicate with us, it would exceed 194 decibels and it would sound distorted to us. I know I just repeated myself, but like, do you see what I'm saying? Like, if there was any sort of communication one day, like the heavens, it's almost like, it's not almost, okay, the heavens and God and the angels wouldn't sound like anything but distorted, is really what I'm trying to get to. We consider angels to be of high vibration, and we consider their voices to be of really high pitch, and high vibration and high pitch causes distortion. Loud high-pitched sounds overwhelm the human hair cells in our ears, therefore causing distortion. So if we were to hear an angelic voice, an angelic choir voice of such a high vibrational being, a high-pitched choir angel voice singing from the heavens, like it would be so loud, it would be of such high vibration, it would be of such high pitch that our human ears couldn't, it would overwhelm the hair in our ears and it would cause distortion. So it's like there's three things right there that it's like, what I'm trying to get to is that if you were to hear an angel, if you were to ever hear God one day, it would sound distorted. It wouldn't sound anything but distorted. Okay. So I guess a little self-reflection is just remembering that fear never belonged to you in the first place. Fear was given to you. You never originally owned it. And just thinking like humans invented lemons, and lemons are symbolic for problems in life. Fear is something created. Fear is what you obtain in exchange for your curiosity. Your curiosity meaning for your ability to understand things. So you just choose fear instead of understanding, right? So it's just like I don't know, like I do realize like when I am talking about this, it kind of sounds far out, or it kind of just sounds a little silly, but I was thinking and I was like, they really are like teaching us a bunch of things, and they're just trying to persuade us on a bunch of things. And I think that we should have, I'm giving you some type of evidence or some type of effort to prove that you should not be scared of low voices. You should not be scared of distorted voices. And I wanted to give some scientific evidence that that's how heaven would sound, and that's how God's voice would sound, and that is how the angels' voices would sound. When they come to you, it would be distorted. And I think if they're trying to teach us here on earth to be afraid of that stuff, we would just never trust the voice, and we would never go to the voice, and we would never let the voice help us. So, and it makes me think that what if angels and what if God, they are the ones that have the scary appearance, that we've been taught what a scary appearance is. But I haven't done any research on that, but just this voice thing, I just really wanted to share. Yeah, I think that's it. I'm sorry that this video, I've felt during this video that it was like, so that's it for this video. I felt intimidated to make this video because I was like, what if I just can't articulate my thoughts as well, because it does get so complicated of a subject. But I just really wanted to still share the idea and hope it like reaches your mind and hope it reaches your heart, that to just don't be afraid of distortion. Don't be afraid of sounds that you've been taught to be creepy. You've been taught that these certain sounds are creepy when they're actually that. They could actually be that of God and the angels. So have an open heart. Thank you for watching. I guess thank you for watching. Bye.